Welcome to My Spoonie Sisters, featuring stories from special guests dedicated to empowering those with chronic illness. Our goal? To connect people and provide the support and tools they need to live a better life. For those with chronic illness, our energy levels just fade faster. We must be more purposeful with the spoons allotted to us. So grab your coffee or tea, sister, and tune in as My Spoonie Sisters share stories of living with chronic illness. Hi, my Spoonie Sisters. I'm Gracefully Jen, and I am so thrilled to bring you my first local friend. Meet Jamie. Hi.
Hello.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm just so excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited you asked me. It's so cool. This will be my first podcast. I have two other features, I guess you would say, in the works on other people's podcasts, but yours is my first one I've done. So that's exciting.
Oh, wow. Well, I have someone to send you to. She is called Face the Elephant in the UK, and I think that would be another great one for you.
That sounds cool.
And she's a blast. She's a blast. So, all right. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I am obviously local to where you are. I grew up here. I am married to a wonderful, amazing man who is also a school counselor, which is super helpful for me. and I have a 10-year-old daughter who I absolutely adore. She's my best friend. And I don't care what people say about whether or not your kid should be your best friend. I have 4 dogs, and we foster a lot of dogs through a local organization, and we have 2 foster fails that we wound up adopting, and then the other 2 we've had for longer. But I am a local photographer, and I focus on basically women's empowerment. So I do self-love portrait sessions, which are not quite boudoir, but they're like individualized portrait. You had one. I took your pictures. Individualized portrait sessions where they're definitely different from when you did yours. So now they're a little bit more detailed. There's like a questionnaire beforehand so I can learn more about the woman that I'm going to photograph, and I bring treats, and it's just a really good time. It's like a whole afternoon of loving on these women and helping them feel empowered and beautiful in their own skin. And then I also host women's retreats. So, and those are also focused on self-love, self-care, empowerment, community, and just teaching women how to take better care of themselves and how to fill their own cups and define who they are outside of what society tells them they should be. So, yeah.
And why don't you tell people a little bit about what one of your retreat looks like? What kind of people do you bring to your retreat to guide the way?
Okay, so I have several people that I bring on that are basically experts in their field. So my first one was October 2nd, and I had a local author who writes, she's your sister-in-law, actually.
She is.
Her name is Becky, and she writes books, and she's a published author, and she has a background in psychology. So she kind of guides through like journaling exercises on like defining who you are and figuring out like events that have shaped you in your life and how they've changed you and that type of thing. And then I have Rika Robinson, who is a life coach. She's the single woman's life coach, but she kind of tailors her workshop for my retreat to be anybody. Which really her life coaching is for anybody, whether you're in a relationship or married or single or whatever. And she just kind of teaches women to be, again, define who they are and feel worthy without having to fit into the tiny boxes that society wants to put us in. And then I have a yoga and mindfulness coach. Her name is Chastity. And she does a yoga session and a sound bath session, and it kind of helps us all relax and kind of just like get into our groove for the day. And then my next one, I'm also going to have a licensed counselor, and I'm going to have an art piece. And then since I'm a photographer, I do mini self-love sessions with each attendee, and they each get to step in front of my camera and just feel beautiful. And I love on them for 10 to 15 minutes. We get some beautiful pictures, and then, continue on our day. So it's a whole day of just a lot of hard work, a lot of sharing and laughing and crying and eating. We have lots of good catered food, and I work solely with women-owned businesses, so it's really cool.
I love that. I haven't actually been to Jamie's, but I've been to the one that Becky used to have. Mm-hmm. And I'm imagining that it's very similar because it's a lot of the same similar people. And I'm hoping eventually I finally get to make it to yours this year. This time I'm going to be in Hawaii.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, I'd choose Hawaii over here too.
So before I reached out to you, I mean, I know you've kind of followed my journey a little bit and what I'm doing, but were you familiar with the term Spoonie?
Yes.
And did you feel like it applied to you?
Yes. I actually learned about it reading Jenny Lawson's book, Furiously Happy. So I don't know if listeners know who Jenny Lawson is, but she's an author who writes on her own journey with chronic illness. She has RA, she has depression, she has a whole slew of illnesses and ailments that she has to deal with. And she writes on kind of what her life looks like. And I read that book and it just, I don't know, it just really spoke to me. It kind of changed my inner narrative, because all this time I thought like I'm a crazy person and nobody thinks like me and my mind works in weird ways and all of these things. And then reading her book, it was like, this person also experiences these things, and this person's mind is exactly the way my mind works. And it was really cool. And she talks about the spoon theory in that book. And that's when I learned about it. And I've kind of used it in my everyday life. If I'm just, my day has just been too much, or I'm experiencing my anxiety or my depression, I'll look at my husband and I'll be like, I don't have any more spoons left today. And he's like, I got you. And he'll take over for the day. And so that's really cool to have that support. But yeah, so I did know about that prior to.
Well, I think what we need to do is add a link for that book in the show notes. Yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're going to have links for you and your business and all that too, but we definitely need to add that book in. So how long has your journey with your mental health been going on?
Since I was a child, honestly. It started when I got into middle school, and I thought that I was just a moody tween, because that's what everybody told me. And then it just kind of spiraled from there. I didn't have a lot of support because my family didn't understand what I was going through. None of my family, I grew up in a Hispanic household, and in that culture, we don't acknowledge mental health. We go out and get some sunshine. Why don't I cook a meal for you? You need to eat. You need to be with your friends. You need to be with your family. All of the things that normal people, I guess you would say, neurotypical people would be able to bring them out of their funk. But for me, it didn't work. And I just thought that I was weird. And so I would say like 13, and I didn't start learning how to actually help myself until I was an adult. So I went 8 or 9 or 10 years, not really knowing how to deal with it, or how to face these things on my own. So
what do you wish you would have known at the beginning of your journey?
That I wasn't the only person experiencing it, honestly. Like I said, everything was very secretive. I actually found out after my grandmother died a few years back that we have ancestors, like her father, I want to say. Now I can't remember who it was, but somebody in our lineage was actually sent to a mental institution because they thought he was crazy. And it turns out that he was exhibiting signs of depression and of possibly schizophrenia. But at the time it was just like, you're a loony, you need to go to the loony bin. And just hearing more about things that my family is experiencing, like it's genetic and it's in our family, but nobody talks about it. So I would have loved to have known all of that as a child, like we need to speak our truths. We need to speak what we're going through so that our children know that they're not alone if they grow up and start to face these things as well. So I think that would have changed everything for me, honestly.
I absolutely agree. And I think so many parents, when they finally find out what their children have been going through, are horrified that their child was afraid to share about it and going through it all alone.
Right. Absolutely.
It feels like for myself and for so many people that I've talked to, that's exactly how it is. The parents are absolutely horrified. They're not mean about it. They are completely loving and just, why didn't you tell me? I could have helped you.
Right. Yeah. And my mom, I mean, she was a single mom. She did the best she could with the resources she had in the time she was raising us. And she did a great job. But she was also struggling. She was diagnosed with RA at 19, and she was struggling with RA with lupus. She has, I believe, 9 autoimmune disorders at this point. And she's been dealing with that since basically she was a child. I mean, 19, you're an adult, but you're a child. And she was a new mom. And, you know, like I said, she did the best she could with the resources she had. But the mental illness side of it, like, she didn't grasp that, because to her, the reason that she was having her sadness or her, you know, funks or whatever was all due to her autoimmune disorders. So I didn't have any of those. So she thought I was just fine. I was an angsty teenager. I would get over it. You know, like, she didn't understand what I was going through, because she never dealt with that until she had her autoimmune disorders, if that makes sense. So yeah, now she understands a little bit more, and she is so supportive, and she's a lot more like understanding. But I think when she finally figured out what I was dealing with, I think you're right. I think she was like, oh shit, sorry, am I allowed to curse on this? So yeah, but now she's a little bit like, you know, a lot more supportive and all of that. So sorry, I went off on a rail.
Can you hold on for just 1 second? We're going to pause.
Yes. Okay.
So it sounds like, yes, your family didn't quite totally understand, and your mom was doing the best she could. But at the same time, as soon as you shared with her what was going on, it's almost like she probably wanted to just wrap her arms around you and just try to make it better.
Yeah, there was a lot of snuggling and a lot of brownies had in my house growing up.
Oh, that's the way to do it.
She was super supportive as far as, you know, like trying to talk me through what I was going through, but she didn't understand it. So she couldn't empathize with it, because she wasn't going through the same thing, and she had never experienced that. So I honestly felt like I was crazy and I was alone in my journey. And so I just lived my life with that understanding.
Calling all Spoonies. As a host of a chronic illness podcast, nothing lights up my day more than hearing from you, our incredible listeners. Whether it's a topic close to your heart that you want us to uncover, or you are keen to show your own journey as a guest on our show, your voice matters. Living with chronic illness can often feel isolating, but through the power of podcasting, we can come together as a community to uplift, educate, and inspire one another. Your stories, insights, and questions drive the conversations we have and the topics we explore. So if there's something on your mind, a story that you are just itching to share, or a guest you'd love to hear from, don't hesitate to reach out. Your voice is not only welcomed here, but celebrated. Let's continue to amplify the voices of those living with chronic illnesses and create a space where everyone feels heard, supported, and empowered. Together, we are stronger.
So what was it like growing up, having a mom that was chronically ill like that? Do you think that helped affect and shape with your mental illness?
I mean, I don't know. Honestly, it was just a part of our lives. It was just, I didn't understand fully what I have arthritis meant until I was a teenager. And so, I mean, you've gone through it with the shots and the constant need for pain control and all of that. And so I would walk into my mom's room and she'd be giving herself a shot, and I just understood that it was something to keep her healthy and to keep her feeling okay. I don't know if she didn't have that, I would have been any different. Right. I think it definitely helped me kind of empathize with people who are in pain or who have illnesses that you can't see. Because my mom still to this day is very quiet about what she's going through. She doesn't talk about it. She doesn't allow it to hinder what she's doing. She's very active in her work. She's a teacher. and she's just like, go, 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 go all the time. And I don't think that anybody other than her immediate family really understands what all of her diagnoses mean for her. And how they affect her life. And so I think just having that inside view kind of helped me understand that like not everybody who looks and appears to be fine is fine. And so that kind of also helped me feel a little bit better about what I was going through, because I was like, well, maybe other people feel sick and they're just not showing it, and I just need to put on a happy face. And that's how I just got through it, honestly, until I was an adult and could finally start to understand what was happening to me.
So did you have a big event or anything that made you finally kind of realize, oh, this is what's going on with me? Or
No,
okay.
no, it was, I would have these bouts of depression, and I would have anxiety attacks, and I would have just like weeks or months at a time where I just felt sad and couldn't bring myself out of these funks. It just slowly, as I grew up and as I read more books and as I heard more stories and as I kind of started to explore that realm on my own and my own research and stuff, I started to like pinpoint, like, this is a symptom I have. Oh, this is a symptom I have. Well, this is a symptom I have. And then I finally spoke with my doctor, actually when I was pregnant with my daughter. So I was 25, and explained, like, this is everything that I've been going through all these years. And she was like, well, it sounds like you have a lot of anxiety. And then she had me do like the form that you fill out, the questionnaire. And I filled it all out. And she was like, well, it looks like we need to monitor you for postpartum once the baby's born, because you're prone to anxiety and it looks like you've had depressive episodes. And so it was never really like an official diagnosis, but it was just an understanding between me and my doctor. And so now every year when I go see her for my annual checkup, she's like, how's your mental health and anything new, anything changed, And so she keeps an eye on me, but I don't see a therapist and I don't take medication. I just haven't gotten to that point where I've accepted it to that point, I think, for myself, that I might need that. And then also when I was a teenager, I had really, really bad seasonal allergies, and they put me on an allergy medication that caused thoughts of suicide as like a side effect. And it was a side effect that I felt. And so I again thought I was going crazy, and I was like, what am I going to do? And I need to die, and all of these things. And eventually I was like, this medication isn't working for me. I'm still feeling I'm still feeling seasonal allergies. So I'm going to switch to a different medication. As soon as I went off of it, all of those thoughts went away. And then I put the pieces together and I read like the label, that has all the side effects listed. And I was like turned off to pharmaceuticals at that point. So now I try my best not to take drugs, pharmaceuticals, anything like that, because I don't like the way it affects me chemically and hormonally. So I don't remember what the question was. I keep going off on tangent.
That's okay. You know what? It flows.
Okay.
It flows. I mean, honestly, this is a chat. And so it doesn't have to be where I just go question after question and you answer it how I need and expect you to.
Right.
I mean, this is to help out other people and for them to hear what we really are like and what we go through, and us as real people. So that's us being real people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what I wanted to ask you is, okay, so we've heard about what it was like going through that with the allergy medicine and what it caused for you. What do you do for your self-care list to help you?
So I took up meditation. I grew up Catholic. Like hardcore Mexican Catholic. Like my grandmother had a shrine to the Virgin Mary in her bedroom, and she would light her candles and pray every single night to this shrine. and there was like a picture of the Last Supper over the dinner table, and it was, I don't know if you've seen Coco, but a lot of that same culture. So we weren't allowed to not go to church. We weren't allowed to I wasn't allowed to go to my friends' youth groups if they were not Catholic youth groups. And that religion never resonated with me as a human. So as I grew up, I kind of steered away from it. And I started, in my 20s, I started kind of exploring other religions and what they might mean for me. And I started doing meditation and believing less in like a God deity and more in like the universe as an energetic thing and as a higher power, but less about like the Christian God and more about like nature and everything working together in our favor and all of that. And so I started meditating every day, and it seriously helped me kind of get grounding and balance and just start. I do it first thing in the morning. And like I wake up, I put my headphones in and I sit in my bed and meditate for 10 minutes every morning. So it's really helped kind of balance my mind and my body. I also use essential oils. I know that's like a controversial thing for people. They think it's crazy and witchcraft, but
What's your favorite one?
I use doTERRA.
Same.
And okay, so Balance is my favorite one of all time. My daughter says it smells like there's a forest in the house when I diffuse it. But it's a grounding oil blend, and it really helps me. Like if I'm having a lot of anxiety, I will put it on my temples and I will just sit there and I will breathe. And it kind of helps me like bring down the stress, I guess you would say. I don't really know how to put it into words, but it doesn't take away my anxiety, but it definitely helps me feel more balanced. Hence the name Balance. So I use those, and I actually recently started going on morning walks. So like the movement and being out in nature really helps me. And honestly, when I'm feeling like a really bad episode coming on, because I can feel it, I start to feel kind of like anxious, just like a general anxiety that most people feel when something's about to happen to them, like before a test or, before they have to go meet somebody for a first date or something like that. Like that's something that I experience regularly. Just in a regular, like nothing's happening to me. I'm sitting on my couch and suddenly I feel this. And so that's how I know that something's coming on. And leaning into it has really helped me. So just allowing myself to be anxious and not trying to stop it from happening and just continuing on my day and doing what I need to do and taking care of myself. So if I have I have this planner. Podcast listeners can't see it, but you can. So this is like every day I have lists going of things that I need to get done. So I have a list for my day job, I have a list for my business, and I have a list for personal stuff. If there's too much on that list and I'm starting to feel anxious, I let it go. I don't worry about finishing the list because it will still be there tomorrow. So giving myself grace and allowing myself to feel what I'm feeling and not putting pressure to be productive just because for the sake of being productive has really, really helped. All of the mindfulness that people talk about, affirmations, all of that, it's so helpful. And people just dismiss it as being like a woo-woo thing, but it's so, so helpful with mental illness. And especially, I haven't gone to the point, like I said, of needing pharmaceuticals. I may get to that point and I'll have to accept that and deal with it when that comes. But at this point, like I lean into it. And my daughter knows that I have anxiety. I'm very open about it. I'm very open about what I'm going through because I think that's important, like we talked about. And my husband, being a mental health professional, understands, he sees the signs and he takes over and does what he needs to do so that I can go lay down or I can just sit on the couch and watch a movie with my daughter instead of making dinner and cleaning and taking care of the dogs and all of the things.
What a
if I'm having one of those episodes. He really is. I got super lucky with him. He's such an amazing partner in life. So yeah, that's kind of how we deal with it in our household.
So when your anxiety is starting to come on, do you ever feel it in your throat? Because nobody can see what I was doing, but I was going like this to you, because sometimes I either get it in my gut or I get it in my throat. But do you ever get it in your throat?
Yes.
It is the weirdest feeling. And it's so difficult to describe to someone that hasn't gone through it and doesn't understand it.
Yeah. And sometimes I'll just sit there and everything will be fine. My day will be going great. And suddenly I'll burst into tears. And also my anxiety, I mean, something people don't talk about with anxiety is that it affects your brain literally every day. So even if I'm not having an episode or an anxiety attack or a bout of depression, I am constantly inside my head thinking about things I could have done differently to affect a conversation in a more positive way. So I could be thinking about a conversation I had on Facebook a week ago this afternoon and how I could have made it better and what I could have said because the person that I was speaking with got upset with me or some, you know how Facebook works, but like, but it's a constant like nagging feeling of like, did I do something wrong? And it's also a constant nagging feeling of like, do my friends actually like me or do they just hang around because being with me benefits them in some way? I cook for my friends, and when they're feeling down, I invite them over for dinner and, you know, to hang out with me and just to have somebody to sit with. They'll come over and in my head, like I know that they're here because they like me and they love me and they want the comfort that I provide. But also I'm like, are they just here for my food? Like constantly in the back of my mind, that's what's happening. And I realized that that's actually a symptom of anxiety when I just thought that I was overthinking everything.
It's so true.
I mean, I am, but, but it's because of my mental illness that it's happening. So
yeah, it's so true. And it doesn't matter how many times people are like, oh, Jamie, I just love the things that you do. And you're such a good friend and I love you and I support you. It doesn't matter any of the kind words and the thoughtful things that people say or do for you. You cannot control those thoughts. At least I know I can't. I feel like anyone with anxiety, they just can't. And you know that your body is lying to you and your mind is lying to you, but it's really hard to retrain or refocus when it keeps coming back. You lay down at night and all of a sudden it's there and it's like, oh, well, I haven't heard from so-and-so in 3 days. Did I do something wrong? Did I say something weird the other day? And it just goes and it goes. Yep.
I mean, like right now, I don't know if she's going to listen to this, but I have a friend who just had a baby and she was really stressed about it's her first baby. She was stressed out beforehand. She had a hard pregnancy. And I know that she's dealing with being a new mom. And I know that when I text her, she's not necessarily going to text me back. But in the back of my mind, if I haven't heard from her like if I text her and she doesn't respond within like a day, I'm like, oh shoot, did I upset her? Did I do something wrong? But I know logically it's because she's a new mom. She's got a lot going on. Like it's not all about me. but in my brain, I think I've done something to upset her or done something to offend her. And Taylor, if you're listening, I love you. And I know that that's not true, but that's literally how I feel with every interaction with everybody that I meet in my life. So like, even with my husband, we've been married for almost 12 years now. And I still will be like, are you mad at me? And he's like, no, I just haven't talked in an hour. Like I'm busy, I'm working, whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry.
I will accuse my husband of being mad at me because I don't like his answer. And he'll look at me and he's like, well, what are you talking about? Well, your answer was not sufficient for me. I'm not pleased with it. So you're mad at me. What? And I know these things are not logical. And
we feel crazy, right? But we're not. It's just the way our brain chemicals work. And it's just part of who we are. And another thing that is a symptom of anxiety is forgetfulness. I don't know if you knew that, but it's hard. I forget. That's why I have to have this planner, because if I don't write it down, I will not do it. I will forget it. Like right now I need to order the breakfast catering for my next retreat. And I've had it on my calendar for 3 days and I haven't done it because I keep forgetting. And then at the end of the day, it's like 8:00 and I look at it and I'm like, oh crap, I didn't do that today. but it's too late now, you know? And so
Okay.
I add it to the next day.
But you know, that's a great example. And it could be anything. It could be, okay, I asked my daughter, are you coming over for dinner tomorrow night? And she answers and she tells me that she is. And then today, oh, hey, are you coming over for dinner tonight? Mom, I told you last night. And I'm like, I know, but I was feeling really anxious and my mind just, I don't know. I just forgot. I'm sorry.
Yep. Yep. And replacing words with other words apparently is a symptom of anxiety. So like my family makes fun of me and they're always teasing me because I'll just say random words that don't make sense in a sentence. I'll be like, I put the comforter in the refrigerator. So can you check it? And my husband will be like, you mean the dryer? and the other day I was calling something a hummingbird and I said humble bird. And it like just, these things don't make sense to like a regular person who can just speak words. But to me, like that's just how my brain works. I just spit out words that don't make sense in the sentence because my brain is constantly just like inside itself. If I don't know if that makes sense, but
Totally does. And it's almost like, well, why didn't you understand that the comforter goes there? I mean, it made sense to my brain. Like it really does. I also have the problem with, and I don't know if it's a mixture of brain fog from RA meds or if it's just, I don't know what it is, but I completely forget normal words. So I can have a conversation with you and all of a sudden I forget that this is a pen and I can tell you it's purple and how big it is and what it looks like and what I use it for, but I cannot say the word pen.
that happens to me all the time. Yep.
See?
It's like, what's the word for that thing you use when you're trying to write something?
See, we are never alone. Listeners, you are never, ever alone.
Never. There's always somebody going through the same things you're going through. And that's something I've had to learn because feeling alone is so hard and it's so scary. And we have to constantly remind ourselves that we're not the only person going through this. And
we're not the only one, and we are so loved.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I love you, Jen.
Thank you. Love you too. So how would I know how I would describe you, but how do you feel the closest people to you would describe you?
Oh, geez. That's a hard question. I don't know. My brain wants to say that they would call me obnoxious, but I don't know if that's entirely true.
Do you want to think?
Hi.
Do you want to think on it? I can tell people what I think of you.
What do you think of me? Tell me.
Okay. Well, I still remember the very first time I met you at the very first retreat.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember we had that little boomerang that was on Instagram of the two of us holding our yoga mats?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know how we even talk to each other because we're both so shy and we're both so, I don't know, loopy. I don't even know a word for what we are, but I just know that I was like, she's my kind of person. I like her. And she has colorful hair and I like that. And that's fun. I've had colorful hair. And so we just somehow started chatting. And after that, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I can't wait till the next retreat. She's so much fun. Look at that crazy girl. She's my kind of person.
Thanks.
So, I don't know. That was my thoughts on you. And
so actually, now that you asked me that, I just remembered, again, I forgot this thing, but I did a program called B School with Marie Forleo. And it's basically like a fast track to get your business off the ground and to create your website and create your marketing plan and all of that. And I did this thing, I did it years ago, but one of the exercises that you have to do in this program is you have to reach out to, I think it's 10 people that know you well. And you have to ask them, what, if you were to give me 3 superpowers, like what would you say my superpowers are? So like, what are the 3 best things about me, basically, that I'm best at? Ooh. And it was seriously like, and it was just after I had started like my whole mental health journey and like figuring out what's going on with me and everything. And it was so uplifting and so confidence boosting. Like everybody should do this. If you're listening, go ask 10 people what 3 things they think are the best qualities that you possess and it will change your life. Like it seriously made me so happy. But I cried reading all of them. But a lot of them said that they admire my parenting, which is amazing because that is one of the things that I actually am confident that I'm good at is parenting. Like raising my daughter has been, I think, one of the things that I've been most successful at in my life. She's an amazing kid, but the way that I parent, my positive attitude and how I always put a positive spin on things was one of the things that a lot of people said. How much I care is another thing. So I am a very caring person. Like I am loyalty as F. if you are my friend, I am loyal to you to death. Like I will defend you to the death if anybody ever speaks ill of you. Like that is the kind of friend that I am. Even if you're not in the room, like I am talking about how great you are. And so like I choose to only surround myself with people, like I'll quote my girl, I choose to only surround myself with people I find intellectually stimulating. And so I love being around people that are smart. I love being around people that are confident. I love being around people that are kind. If you are my friend, then I think you are at least one of those things. But so I pride myself on being kind and empathetic and understanding. But I also don't take any shit. So I don't let people walk all over me. I will extend kindness until you start taking advantage of it. And then I reel it in. I've had to learn that over the years. So I don't know. I would say that I am definitely upbeat. I don't know if you can tell from this interview, but I like to laugh. I like to experience all of the joy that I can because I know that it's fleeting. I'm not always going to be feeling joyful. And so when I do, I lean into that hard.
You take every moment you can.
Yes. And I love to be goofy and silly. I'm a great cook. I hate cooking, but I'm good at it. And so a lot of my friends, like I said, will come over just to eat. And they're always like, thank you for feeding me. But I think I'm just a caregiver. I love taking care of people. I love being that person that people can lean on. And I know that that's really tough because of my anxiety, I have to be really careful of how much of other people's like venting I accept and how much of their negative energy I accept, because it will definitely affect me. I soak in the energy around me. So if it's negative, I fall into this negativity that sometimes I can't crawl out of for a couple of days. So I have to be really careful about that.
And you have to have healthy boundaries. It's so important.
Absolutely.
Was that a tough one for you?
Boundaries?
Healthy boundaries with your friends?
Yes.
I think it's a tough one for a lot of us.
Yeah, I still struggle with it. I won't say too much because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I had to cut some family members out of my life because being around them brought too much negativity to my world. A lot of criticism, a lot of telling me that I was doing things wrong in my life because I wasn't, like I talk about with my retreats, I wasn't fitting into the boxes they thought I needed to fit into. So I was obviously doing something wrong. Like you said, I have colorful hair. I always have my hair crazy colors. I think I was the first of all my cousins my age to get a tattoo. It's a tiny little daisy on my shoulder. Like, I feel like it doesn't even count, but I was the first one. I have a nose piercing. I don't fit into traditional religious values that my family follows. I'm loud. I'm confident. I'm outspoken about my opinion. I'm very progressive and liberal in my political views. Like, none of these things fit into what my family, extended family, thinks I should be. And so it turned into a really negative situation for me with some of those people. And I had to eliminate those relationships from my life. And it was hard because I have a very large extended family and I grew up very close with them. And so it was tough, but it, like, at the end of the day, it was better for me mentally. And I am happier and I am less worried about who I'm going to offend with my opinions than I used to be. So,
well, and I think that's so important when it comes to depression and anxiety to have those boundaries and to be okay with cutting people out, even though it's so, so hard, especially when it's family. Sometimes we don't have a choice. We just have to do that for our own well-being.
absolutely.
Okay, I have a fun one for you.
Uh-oh.
So I don't know how many fellow Spoonie sisters you have in your world, but if you were asked by me, which you are, to nominate one for a Spoonie sister highlight, who would that person be and why?
Oh my gosh. I honestly think my mom, but I don't think she would do it.
That's okay.
She's an amazing human. She has done so much in her life despite the hardships that she's gone through and the adversity that she's faced. And I'm gonna probably cry.
She's okay.
Like I grew up and my mom was my hero. And she created this life for us that was beautiful despite being a single mom without any money. We always had delicious food. We always had baked goods. We always had crafts. She always had fun experiences for us to do as a family, even if it didn't cost anything. Like, we had a magical childhood. And so she did all of that by herself while also dealing with autoimmune disorders and being in constant chronic pain. And I didn't appreciate it at the time because I didn't understand what she was going through. But now I'm like, holy crap, if I could be half the woman that she is. Sorry. I promised myself I wasn't going to cry during this. And then you had to ask that. But anyway.
But you know what?
So my mom, because I think she has a story to tell and I think that she'd be great. But I think that she also doesn't like talking about it. And so she just wants to focus on positive. And, there's not a lot of positive around having autoimmune disorders or chronic illness. And so she doesn't like talking about it. Like, she'll still like to talk to my sister and me and be like, I had this procedure done today to check this because they're worried about this. And we're like, what, when were you going to tell us? Like, and she's like, oh, I thought I told you last year when they found this issue. And we're like, no. And so it's like, she legit will not, she just doesn't talk about it. So I know that she's going through a lot more than she lets on, but
she's a powerhouse.
Yeah. And she's not going to tell me because I'm her daughter and she just wants to protect me, which is silly. But
tell you what, when this episode comes out, you're going to send it to her and we're going to call her out right now. What is her name?
Maria,
we're calling you out for a warrior Spoonie sister highlight. You are a warrior and a fighter, and you are someone that many people, I'm sure, look up to. And so right now, we want to tell you, you're a badass. And keep being that.
Such a badass. Oh my gosh.
Do you know what? I feel like almost every episode I've recorded with people, we've had tears.
I mean, it's a tearful subject, you're doing this amazing thing, Jen, where you're bringing people together and helping people see that they're not alone. And it's a beautiful thing. And so, yeah, tears are inevitable.
Don't make me cry. All right. I'm shocked at how long we've been talking, but I have 2 more questions.
Yeah.
What would you tell your younger self about your current self?
Everything's going to be fine. You're awesome and amazing and following your dreams and doing all the things that you said you would do, and keep going because it's worth it. Yeah. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Okay. If you could make yourself a promise right now, what would that be?
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
You can thank my friend Antoinette for these questions. She was amazing. And she gave us some hard-hitting ones.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, like to my future self. Is that what this is?
She wasn't really specific. And so I think we can make it whatever we want it to be. Your 90-year-old self. What do you want to promise that 90-year-old self?
Oh, you're still going to be kicking. You're still. I promise my 90-year-old self that I will have bought my retreat space on the beach, and I will have helped thousands of women step into their power, because that's my dream. And I will have spent my life at the ocean.
With colorful hair. You better have colorful hair.
I will have colorful hair until the day I die.
I used to. I think I told you back in the day that I used to have a different hair color every time people saw me. And I don't know what it is, but the last probably 10 years, I got really boring.
No, you're not boring.
I can't change the fact that my nose is pierced, my belly button's pierced. I have 7 tattoos and I'm a little crazy, but my hair is not boring.
I change my hair once a year. So I go, cause I have, nobody can see this but you, but I have this is the color of my hair. It's almost black. So in order to make it fun colors, they have to bleach the hell out of it. So
probably a process of many occasions.
Oh my gosh, it takes like 6 hours. Yeah, I have a hair appointment on next Wednesday to change my hair color. I'm going blue. But I want it to be next Wednesday because it's right before my retreat and I want to have fresh, fun hair for the retreat. But yeah, I do once a year because she has to bleach the hell out of it and I don't want my hair to fall out. So over bleaching will do that. And so every year I go in right before my birthday and I get my hair done for my birthday. And that's the color that I stick with all year. And I just update it with a color depositing conditioner, which I can't use for like 6 weeks before she does a new color because it will like affect how much gets bleached out. So it looks really bad right now, but that nobody can see it. So
So have you ever had your hair fall out?
No.
Okay. I did. And I think that's why I stopped coloring my hair so much. But I didn't know what I was doing in my 20s and I really overprocessed my hair a lot. And so I was losing chunks. My hair even melted. I had to get it cut off really, really short and I'd grown it out like really long. So that's why I stopped.
I've always gone to a pro. I've never done it myself because I don't trust myself to do the bleach right. And, so, and I'm like, I will budget. Like even when I was poor, I budgeted and I would like save money a little bit at a time. And then I would go once a year and get my hair done. So yeah, I just feel more myself when I'm colorful. Actually, Becky, your sister-in-law, my friend, is also, you guys are friends too, but she always laughs because she wears a lot of neutrals. Like her whole wardrobe is neutral and my wardrobe is very colorful. And so she's always like, if we take a picture together, I'm the neutral and you're the color. And that's just how I feel. I feel like if my hair's not colorful, I don't feel like myself. So
I actually had someone ask me one time, they were like, does Becky like more than beige? Because I'm trying to figure out a gift for her. And like her answer to everything is beige.
But she looks good in neutrals and she always looks amazing. So I feel like she pulls it off. I feel like I would not be able to pull it off.
You know, we all have our own look and we're our own person. If we all looked beige or we all looked colorful, life would be boring.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't want to look like everybody else.
No, not at all.
I want to be crazy in my own way. All right. So where can everyone find and follow you?
So I am on Instagram as at JK Photos WA. So JK Photos WA. And that's my photo site. I don't have a personal Instagram. And then I also have my retreat Instagram, which is at Empower You Women. And the photo one is a lot more fun because I do a lot of reels and I get really silly, but the Empower You Women has a lot of like self-care tips, inspiration, plans for the upcoming retreats, that type of thing. So if you wanted to find out more about those are the two to follow. And then my website is www.jkphotoswa.com. So it's the same as my Instagram, but just like .com. And
and we'll make sure to share all of that in the show notes too. But I asked you 1,000 questions. Is there anything I didn't cover that you want to share?
No, this was a good conversation. This was a fun morning.
You're always welcome to come back. You know, I love having people back. I have some things in the works with some people. And so if you ever want to come back and share about more things or just give an update, I'd love to have you.
That'd be great. You know, you asked me before if I recommend a Spoonie sister. And honestly, the author of that book, if you could get her on your podcast, she would be a freaking hoot. And I think that obviously she struggles with chronic illness and depression and anxiety and everything, but she's like this amazing human. I follow her on all the things. And she owns a bookstore in Texas, and it's called Nowhere Bookstore. And I want to go so bad. I've never wanted to go to Texas, but I want to go to her bookstore. And she has a book club called Strangelings Book Club that I want to join, that I just haven't. But check her out, Jenny Lawson. You should definitely try to get in contact with her. I don't know how hard that is to get in contact with her.
I don't know, but definitely send me her wherever you want me to follow her or find her. Oh my gosh, words. You know what I mean. Send her to me. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining. Jamie, I just appreciate you so much. And
thank you.
Yeah, everyone. Thank you for joining my Spoonie Sisters. And until next time, don't forget your spoon.
The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only. Consult your own physician for any medical issues that you may be having. The information should not be taken as a replacement for medical, clinical, professional advice, diagnoses, or medical intervention. My Spoonie Sisters and guests will not be held liable for any of the consequences of such action or inaction. Trigger warning. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics including, but not limited to, suicide, abuse, mental illness, and chronic disease. You are advised to refrain from listening if you are likely to be offended or adversely impacted by any of these topics. None of the guests or hosts will be responsible for your use of the information contained therein. Life is not merely to be alive, but to be well. Living a life with a chronic illness is best described with one word: unpredictable. Be Well's products are designed to make the unpredictable easier to deal with. Back when I was getting my infusions, I would have loved to have their adult zip hoodie. They even have one in pink. They also have everything from one-day pill holders to urgency buckets. So remember, they want to make your life a little easier. So be sure to check out Be Well.